record on the event. And then why don't we get started? So I'm going to show you, first I'm going to jump into the back end of Nation. So again, most folks on here have probably already used Nation Builder or at least somewhat familiar with it. So this is the back end of my Nation. It's pretty straightforward. You can see I've got my dashboard up along the top. And if I go over to my websites, you can see I've got two sites in here. I've got Make America OK Again, which is a campaign, presidential campaign. And then I've got Tommy Douglas for Governor, which is going to be the site that we're using today. And it's where our events that we're going to look at in Czech today live. So if I go into Tommy Douglas for Governor, and I pull up all of my events, you can see I've got 3 events coming up. I've got a canvas, I've got a magic show, and I've got a volunteer training. So what I'm going to do next, we're not going to walk through sort of how to connect the app to your Nation, because when you buy a license, it's all pretty automated. But what I'm going to do, now that you've seen sort of what events we have running within this site, within this Nation, let's actually take a look at the app. So this is Czech. This is the very first landing screen that you see. And it's important to remember, Czech is a web app. So it works on mobile phones, on tablets, on desktop. You can see kind of how it contracts as I pull my screen. So this is around the size of an iPhone. This is around the size of a tablet or a desktop. And then if I'm seeing both of the sites that are within my Nation. So if you run, 10 sites in your Nation, you're going to be able to find this site and then find the event within. So I'm going to click into Tommy Douglas for Governor. And then you can see all of those events that we just looked at in the back end of our Nation showing up here. So we can see we've got a magic show, we've got a volunteer training, and we've got this canvas. And this canvas is a past event. So you can see it was back in March. So I'm gonna go and say that right now, this is the volunteer training event that we're at. I'm working the door as folks come in and check that they're in the right place, that they're here for the training. So the very first thing I'm going to do is, the very first person, let's say, who walks up is Sarah Baker. So I can see this is my whole RSVP list of everyone who's coming. The people with little check marks are people who've already come in. I've already marked them as having attended. And then the people with little +1s or +4s over here are folks who've RSVP'd with guests. So we don't know who those people are yet. When they RSVP'd on the front end of our site, they just said they were bringing folks. So we'll get to them in a sec. But first, let's say Sarah has just walked in. Sarah's here. We can see we've got a picture pulled in from Facebook. I can check this little check mark, and Sarah is now checked in. It's pretty simple. But let's imagine someone walks up and we don't actually know who they are. They're not on the list or whatever. They say their name is Tom. So I'm just going to search Tom using this little search bar up here, and it'll pull up just the folks who match that search term who are already RSVP'd. So I'm going to click into Tom Dale here. And then I can mark him as attended, but I can also click this little menu option here. Oops. I should have done it first. And that'll open up a little dialog that'll let us add some additional information about the folks. So if, say, this was Ariana is now here, we could click this little checkbox, and that lets us add whatever info is missing about the person. So if the person RSVP'd using a Twitter account, they RSVP'd on Facebook, for whatever reason you don't have their email or their first name or their last name, we can grab it while they're here. So this is Ariana at cstreet.ca. Check that. And so now she's marked as RSVP'd. We've collected that additional info. And she was marked as having a +1. So let's add that additional guest info. So she's here with her friend Sally. And we can see now Ariana is checked in. Sally is also checked in. And we have the additional info for both of those folks because we filled out that little dialogue. So it's pretty simple. Now, imagine if someone showed up to our event who hadn't RSVP'd online. They happened to be walking by, or they'd heard about it and just showed up. We can just add a brand new guest. And again, it's the same dialogue. It's very simple. And this is And then if we scroll down, we can see that John, who we just added, is now showing up on the list, showing up as checked into the event. So it's pretty simple. If I went back, I could choose, go to the next event, and download my RSVP list and do that event, or just continue on checking people into that event. And then, yeah, as you go through these, if we go back to the volunteer training now, we can refresh the list in case more folks have RSVP'd from the site, or that there are multiple people doing the checking in, and we want to make sure that we have the most up-to-date list of who is there. So it's a very simple refresh. So that's a really quick walkthrough of what the app looks like. But let's jump back to our nation really quick and see what this means in our database. So I'm going to go back. This is our nation. I'll go to my dashboard. I'm going to go to the activity view of my dashboard. And then here we can see a couple things that are interesting. So we can see this is that last person who we added, who wasn't on the list originally. He's now in our database. He's a supporter. He's marked as having attended this event and having RSVP'd for this event. So now when we're searching our database, when we're looking for our most engaged supporters, the folks who've RSVP'd, who've attended, who are emailable, John now meets all those criteria because he's one of our best folks. He actually came out to something offline. If I scroll down a little further though, so Sally was the one who was the guest of Ariana at the event. So we can see she also has RSVP'd and attended. But what we've done is, because she was a +1 of Ariana, once we logged her, once we created that record, we made sure that she shows up as recruited by Ariana, so that when you're searching your database, when you're looking for your best supporters, that linkage of the fact that Ariana and Sally have a relationship, and that Ariana was the person who really brought Sally into the organization or into the campaign, that linkage is maintained in your database, because that's real, valuable data. And if we scroll down a bit more, you can see all the other folks who I've checked in today. You can see Nation Builder automatically matching someone based on their email address to their LinkedIn account, and all that great stuff from Nation Builder that you're used to. Now, if I jump over to the event that we just checked these nice folks into, volunteer training, go to our event settings. We'll go over to our attendees. You can now see all the folks who've RSVP'd but haven't checked in yet, including people with their +1s. And then you can see all the folks who have attended, including all the folks we just checked in and all the new supporters we created because they were +1s or they just walked in at the door. So that data is all synced directly into your nation. So that's it. That's the app. That's how it works with Nation Builder. And the last thing I kind of want to talk about really quick is that sort of like pricing, how rollout works for folks who are interested. So Check is priced in a way that it's kind of what we think is kind of a no-brainer for anyone running events on Nation Builder. If you're even just doing a couple events a year, the data should be worth the cost of actually knowing which of the folks who RSVP show up and engage with your organization or your campaign. So on the low end, we think it makes a lot of sense. If you complete a purchase here, you can be up and running in about 24 hours. You'll get an auto response right away. We have to approve your nation. You have to make sure that you're an admin on your nation and that you have permissions that let you allow apps. But other than that, it's pretty quick to turn it around. And then if there's folks who are sort of like run bigger organizations or need customizations of the app, there is the option that we can spin up separate instances of the app that include custom fields for your nation if there's additional like highly valuable data that you need to collect at events. That can be built in. It can be worked up in your style. So instead of a little check logo, it shows your organization's brand, your color palette, and make sure that the data that's critical for your organization or your campaign is available at the door. So that's the basic pricing. And happy to open it up to questions. I know Amy's been in the chat answering everything she can, but let me know.
Diana's asking if you can make one with the Social Democrat theme.
Yeah, you. It is possible that we could spin one up. A social democrat is a theme that C Street owns for. It's used by a bunch of New Democrats in Canada, which is like the progressive political party, and but also used by a bunch of labor unions and other folks. But it's totally. If one of them were so generous, we could certainly spin one up on their color palette, and that works with Czech. Tracy, sounds good. Let us know. Great. Well,
Oh, separate logins.
oh yeah, totally. Um, do you want to answer that, or do you want?
Oh, so yeah, the check has it's one login per nation, and you can log as many people as you want can log in with that one account at the same time. So you have your nation builder password and login, and that's used to activate the to activate check to your nation. Once it's activated to your nation, then you're using your check login and password. And if you had 10 people at your event, all checking people in, they would all be using the same login and password.
Great. Yeah. So Lou, who I believe that question was from, like it might make sense, like if you do a lot of events, to spin up an email that's just like check@myorganization.org, and then you'll everyone who logs in with that password and that email will be able to check folks in. Rebecca. So Rebecca just asked about the cost for smaller orgs and the branding. It can get a little pricey. So if you are a smaller org, like it's, at least I think, looks kind of great as it is. And so it might be a thing if you that you want to just like take it for a run and see how it works. And it's not too the design isn't too there's not too much to it so that it looks horribly off your brand, because the design is very simple intentionally. So yeah, but if you do, just reach out. There's a feedback form. If you click the custom button, it takes you to a contact form where if you shoot this off, it'll go into our queue, and we can chat about what it would look like to get you a custom iteration. Yeah, Rebecca. So in terms of using it on phones, so it's a web app. So all you would do is pull it up, open Safari or open Chrome on your phone, go to checkbycstreet.ca, log in, or cstreet.com, log in, and then it looks just like this. This is it collapsed to about the size of an iPhone 5. But if it was a tablet, it would look something like this. But it all collapse, should all work as long as you've got reliable like Wi-Fi, LTE, 3G, whatever your cell phone uses, because you're going to want to maintain a solid connection. It'll work if it's a little spotty, but the stronger your connection, the better. Yeah, sounds great. Terrific. Do folks have any last questions, or we'll let you all get back to your days?